Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account and it says, I think my boyfriend is lying about being in medical school. I, 26 female, have been dating Sam, 31 male, for about 4 months now. We met online and he told me he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months I have started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life, the biggest being him in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. That was about 5 years ago. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious. And I have another friend, Jason, who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. Jason has told me how difficult the program was and how he never had time for anything besides studying. Jason also said that nobody in his program worked. Sam works 40 hours a week in an office and I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time. And I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he is never studying, and he said he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker and never studied a lot in college, but I feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house and have never seen a single document suggesting he was in school. Textbooks, assignments, nothing. He has also let me use both his computers, and I've never seen anything on his history or anything suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, I had papers all over my house and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago, we were at dinner. I can't remember how this was brought up, but he mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology that it has 3 bones, and I said he was wrong. He said something to the effect of, I'm a medical student. How are you going to tell me I'm wrong? So I googled it right in front of him and showed him that I was correct, and he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body, and he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff a medical student would know, right? Even I know that. So this week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to prod. I asked him if I could come sit in on one of his classes, and he said that his school doesn't do that. Fine. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch, and he said I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get on campus due to COVID. Fine. I asked to see his student ID, and he said he lost it. Then I asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in his hospital uniform, and he said he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. He sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point, he's lying. But some of my friends say I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? Edit, he's not actually my boyfriend. He's just someone I've been seeing frequently. I just wrote that for ease of the title. Edit, thought it was worth noting that these past 6 weeks have been summer vacation, so he hasn't needed to be in class. He said he would get a new student ID when classes start. Now let's face it, there's a whole bunch of red flags in this situation. I only know about medical school from what I've heard in these actual stories themselves, and we've covered a lot about them, and it sounds like it's one of the most demanding things ever. So for this guy to be working 40 hours a week while doing this program at the same time sounds absolutely wild. It might be possible and I might be called out for it, but you know, from what I've heard about medical school, it sounds like a huge undertaking. And I might be downplaying that as well. And then was him talking about the bones in the body, then getting defensive when, you know, he pulled the medical student card and then was corrected on it. He got angry about it afterwards. Won't take a photo, no student ID. I mean, it just goes on, doesn't it? And I mean, what is his end game with this? I mean, if you was to get together officially, at some point down the road, this is going to come out and it's going to get worse and worse the longer he lies. Because it's a lie that's not eventually just going to vanish or anything like that. So at some point, this has to come out. There's no way about it. But commenter says, honey, you need to walk away. The red flags are waving in the breeze, loudly. If he will lie about this, there is no limit to what he will lie about. Does he even work where he says he does? Opie says I've been in his office job and met his co-workers, so yes, I know he works 40 hours in an office. Commenter says, let me tell you from this perspective of someone who caught a liar. Once you catch them in a lie this big, the trust is gone. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind that he's lying, even when he's telling the truth. Lying about being in medical school is a big lie. Another commenter says, of course he's lying. Of course he is. Wow. This is all kinds of manipulation and crazy shit. You already know this, don't you? I'm trying to be kind, but why haven't you called him out really? Why on earth would you buy into this deceit? I'm guessing you're afraid that you'd find out the truth and then be confronted with whether or not you need to end the relationship, and you don't want to end the relationship. I get it, but this is so ridiculous that I'm worried for you. He has to have a student ID. Does he have a parking sticker? I'm guessing not, and he's going to give you some stupid excuse as to why not. Your friends say that you're being paranoid. Lol. Are you really your friends? Nope, absolutely not. If this guy's in medical school, then I'm not an ER nurse. Granted, retired. A 10-year-old knows how many bones are in the human ear. Don't minimize your suspicions. You are right. You are smart. He is lying. I'm not even buying the overseas medical school story based on his knowledge of the human body. He sounds manipulative. Please be careful. Opie replies saying the first month we dated, I only saw him 2 or 3 times. And the last month has been summer vacation, so no classes. I didn't really think about it. I only started really getting suspicious when we had the conversation about ear bones, which was 3 weeks ago. Now I've looked back and realized how suspicious it all sounds. Commenter replies to that saying it isn't even that suspicious. It's just lying. He gets angry when you proved him wrong. Girl, you've only been dating this lunatic for a short time. Trust me, he's not in any prestigious medical school. He's not in any medical school. I doubt he's even in college, given the lack of any supportive evidence. If he's lying about this, I know he is. What else is he lying about? You have to have a completed bachelor's degree, usually in the sciences at an accredited university, and then pass the MCAT to be considered for med school. And that's not even a guarantee. I've had a couple of MD friends, sent one a screenshot and she laughed so hard. Sorry. Said if he's telling the truth, she doesn't want him working on her patients. He's lying. I'm sorry you're going through this, but better to find out the truth. There's a couple of ways. Ask him what he got on his MCAT, Medical College Admissions Test. It is required for enrollment into any accredited medical school. It doesn't include a lot of science questions on it, so that is why most doctors have a bachelor's in the science arena. It does include a lot of science questions on it, so that's why most doctors have a bachelor's in the science area. Ask him what classes he's taking. There should be a lot of anatomy, biology, chemistry, physiology. Most first years study on average 48 hours a day. My friend is a biology and chemistry genius, and she studied 3 to 4 hours daily her first year. It got worse the second year. Medicine is one of the hardest degrees in the world. If it was that easy, we'd all be MDs. I'm so sorry you're going through this, but better to know the truth. Listen to your gut. Not for nothing, but my MD friend also mentioned that someone who goes to these extremes doesn't just have low self-esteem. Usually when they're caught, they play the I have low self-esteem, or I just wanted you to like me, or I was in medical school and I was planning on returning. It's a little scarier than that, so be careful. Sometimes these people really suffer from significant mental illness. You've only dated him for 4 months and they're quite good at hiding it. Please be careful. Good luck. So OP does come into the post about a week later with an update and says, so the response was overwhelming. And I'm glad I got confirmation on my suspicions because I felt like I was going crazy. I broke up with him over FaceTime and didn't tell him the real reason. Just gave a vague explanation about not being ready to date anybody. There are other things, in addition to my post, that I'm pretty sure he was also lying about. I didn't bring any of his lies up because honestly, I feel slightly scared of a person who would lie about things like that. He didn't take it very well and sent me a barrage of texts trying to guilt trip me and also was borderline harassing me into meeting up with him. Apparently he bought me a present and was trying to force me to take it. Overall, just really gaslighty and manipulative. I eventually stopped responding and I haven't heard anything in a few days. Hopefully never have to see or speak to him again. Thanks to you all for your responses. Going forward, I'll be a lot more cautious about who I believe. Commenter says, I didn't see your original post, but I'm an actual medical student, and that guy's 100% lying about being in medical school. You have next to no free time outside of class and studying. There is no way the dude is working 40 hours and has a good test taker to get through school. It's just not possible. The level of detail and volume of work is so massive that it requires daily practice. Sounds like the guy was in school, flunked out, and hasn't accepted it yet. The Sippy Cup says lol, same. I'm a med student and just saw both of her posts. Not a chance in hell dude was working 40 hours a week and attending. And there was just so many comments along those lines from medical students just like, what the fuck, there's no chance. And I still come back to the question, and I know it's not the point, but why was he lying? What is the end game to this? Because you're going to get caught out eventually, unless he just truly can't help himself with the lying. But bloody hell, what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, before we do get into this next story, there is a trigger warning on it of child abuse and sudden death of a parent as well, and it's from Feral Goblin Cat from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, who says, Am I the arsehole for reminding my mum that my son is a child? My son was sick yesterday. My mum offered to babysit for me since I couldn't miss work. For context, I, 30 female, am a single mum because my husband passed away in an accident last year. We had 2 kids together, ages 12 and 8. My 8 years have severe ADHD and autism. Being a newly single mum, money has been really tight and I do get state assistance, but not a lot, and my husband didn't have life insurance, so there was no money left to us from him. My mum and sister help me with the babysitting if the kids are sick or if there is no school because I can't afford a sitter. The issues came when I told her I didn't have food to spare right now because I haven't been able to go out shopping yet, and to please bring her own food or be prepped, I have to buy herself food because the food I have in the house is strictly for the kids so that I can get to the store this weekend. We were all super sick last weekend and I don't live in a town with a grocery store, and the closest one is a 30-minute drive. She said it'd be easier to take my son to her house, which I was okay with, but 8-year-old hates going to her house. When she comes to get him, he has a meltdown because he doesn't want to go to her house. I ask if she can just stay, and I can find a way to get more food before the weekend. She said no and insisted he had to come with her, and that made it worse. Now my mum has not had great patience, but her and my sister are the only sitters I have right now because they don't charge me much, just the gas to get here. Well, she lost it. Started yelling at me and him that she didn't have time for this, and she had plans that day she cancelled just to watch him. She didn't mention this to me when I asked. She also said, I quote, I wish we could trade lives and I could lay around and throw tantrums all day, and you can go to work and just have everyone use you and take your money all the time. How much it must suck to be you and do whatever you want while I have to do nothing but take care of other people. I never borrow money from my mother, but my sister and grandma live with her, and they don't work, so I know she's under a lot of stress and she takes it out on me a lot, calling me a burden, letting me know how much my tragic loss has affected her negatively, calling me other names or yelling at me for things my sister or grandma do. I didn't yell or argue. I simply covered his ears and looked at her and went, Mum, he is 8. She lost it and screamed, fuck you then. Miss work and lose money, I don't care, I'm leaving. And then she left. Now she says she will not babysit for me again, so I can know true struggle. Which, if she follows through, means I have to miss a bunch of work or find a sitter I can trust that won't break my bank. So I'm wondering, should I have cut her a break knowing she is under so much pressure? And I understand she is frustrated and needs to get it off her chest. But I feel like a verbal punching bag, and I don't want my kids to have to deal with that as well. Am I the arsehole? Look, your mum's allowed to have feelings. She's allowed to be stressed when she's going through a stressful situation herself. But she does not get to take that out on other people, especially an 8-year-old child with ADHD and autism who's already stressed, already having a meltdown, and your mum's response was to yell at that child saying she wishes she could lay around and throw tantrums all day. You know, that's not venting to someone, that's verbal abuse directed at a child. That's fucking awful. And quite frankly, After that outburst, I'd question if you'd want her babysitting your kid anyway. I know you're in a real difficult situation, so it's very easy for me to say this, but the outburst she's having, I'm not sure if I would feel comfortable leaving her with your child alone. I just wonder if there is, and I know OP's probably already looked into it, some sort of respite care services that may help you in your area, or check in with your school if they have any resources like that. But quite frankly, you didn't create this situation by reminding her that your son is literally a child. And you're not her emotional punching bag, and neither is your son. It's quite simple as that, really. Commenter says to OP, not the arsehole. She is an adult. She's allowed to have her big feelings around other adults, but it's immature as hell and very damaging to take that out on an 8-year-old. For babysitting, do you have a church near you? They will probably try to convince you to join the church. That is unavoidably part of it, but they might have access to some kind of program to get temporary daycare access for single mothers. Opie says, my youngest son can't go to daycare here because of his behavioral issues, and then not having a para or funds to hire a para. Another commenter says, wait, but if he can't go to daycare, where is he when you were working? Opie says, school. He couldn't do school because he was sick. My mum only babysit if my sister can't, when they are sick or don't have school. Daycare and schools are not the same and have different funding and expectations. Then Opie adds more on the daycare capabilities and son's behavioral issues, and says he didn't have any major behavioral issues until his father passed away. He just needs a para at all times, and school and daycare because he is a flight risk. He has a great para at school who he loves, but we have 2 daycare. One is private and is only for members of one of the churches, and the other is a very small, we live in a town with less than 1,000 people in it, so it doesn't have the funds or the capacity for my 8-year-old to go there when he doesn't have school. Commenter says, not the arsehole, but your mum is. Info, is your late husband's family nearby? Can they watch the children from time to time? Have you looked if there are any organizations nearby that could help in cases like that? In my country, there is an organization called Emergency Grannies who can help out some days if the child is sick and the parent has to go to work. Opie says my husband's family won't talk to me or see the kids after the accident. We weren't close before the accident either, but even if we were, they all work full-time day shift jobs. I've reached out to the churches, but they have no way to help me. Other than one runs a food pantry and close calls it once a month, but it's at the end of each month. Opie says to another commenter, as previously stated, they won't talk to me or see the kids. I've reached out repeatedly and get no answers from any of them. I'm trying to be understanding as they lost their child and might need space right now. Opie on school friends with parents who could take him. Opie says no. He has friends at school, but I don't know them or their families. I'm actually not even from this state originally, and I moved to this town for my husband, so it's only really his family I know. My best friend's daughter is the only one he sees outside of school hours, and she is also a single mum that works the same hours I do. Commenter says, how does your mother, sister and grandmother all live there? Then they're close enough to babysit. Opie says they live 20 minutes away in a completely different town. They were picking him up and I was going to go after work to get him. Opie also adds, I'd like to state because everyone thinks I have a free sitter, I pay them $40 to fill their gas tank when they babysit. And I usually ask my sister, not my mum, to babysit because of my mum having very little patience. But my sister had a doctor's appointment that day. My son has a serious sensory issues and doesn't like going to my mum's house because of her yelling all the time. She has always been a yeller even when I was a kid, so I'm used to it, but it overstimulates him easy. He also doesn't like my mum's house because my grandma lives there, and my grandma is a horrible woman who tried to cure his fear of the dark when he was 3 by locking him in a dark closet. Oh, fucking hell. While I was at the hospital with his brother, who fell at school and broke his femur. She was never allowed to watch him again. My mum reassured me if he went that she would keep him away from my grandma. Then to another commenter, Opie says, this is the first time I know that she ever spoke to him this way. I know she yells, but not like that at him, at least if I'm around anyway. Commenter says, I'm struggling to understand why your mum lets your sister be a bum on her dime, but then takes it out on you who is shelling out $40 for gas every time she babysits. If she's spread so thin, I don't know why she would voluntarily miss out on that money from you. I'm assuming she doesn't have to use a whole tank to get to and from your place. Opie says, oh, that's very easy to answer, as it's been told to me my whole life. My mum didn't want me and hated my dad, but kept me anyway. She was married and tried for my sister, so my sister is the favoured child and always has been. Opie also adds, to all the comments about social security. I had no idea about any of that and will look into it. My mother-in-law told me when he passed that they had life insurance for him, but it would be all used for the funeral. It was very sudden when he passed, and it really has messed up the last year of our lives tremendously. I would like to say to anyone saying anything rude about my 8-year-old son, not only will I remind you all that he is a child with special needs or not, but he is a child who just recently lost his father. I would ask that if you have anything ill will to say about a literal child, you save it for someone else. Someone says, were you ever shown proof about the life insurance or the actual amount? Opie says no, they were the beneficiaries for it, so I have no right to that information. They took it out on him as a child. We didn't even know he had it. I found out after he passed that they have it on all their kids. Opie replies to another comment saying he does share a room with his brother after an incident I previously touched on in a different comment. He has difficulty being alone now. To him, his safe people are me, his brother, my sister, and his father. He just lost one of his safe people and it's very hard on him. Thank you for understanding, and to everyone else that reads this, that's been understanding. My children lost their father, and people seem to pass up that bit of information in judgment on his behavior. He struggles being without his safe people, and now that his father is gone, he's struggling more. I do have the kids in therapy and go to therapy as well. I appreciate the advice. So OP does come in to update the post and says, update, my mum is banned from my place of work, and I will no longer be speaking to her, my grandma, and will be limiting contact with my sister. I was sent home early due to my emotional state. They showed up before my lunch break and demanded to talk to me. When my boss said no, my mum lost it and started screaming at her so loudly I could hear down the hall from my classroom. She sent another staff member to get me to try and defuse the situation, but my mum only started screaming at me that I wasted her time and her gas because she was going to have to wait around all day for me. I told her I go to lunch at 12:15 p.m. every day, and she showed up at 10:30 a.m. while calling me all sorts of names and cussing with every other word. I asked if we could go outside to talk, and she said that she no longer wants to talk to me and that she just came because my sister asked her to, because my sister asked to her. I didn't know this. My sister made it seem like it was mum's idea on the phone. One of my co-workers is going to be retiring a week before Thanksgiving and told me she will watch my kids during school breaks after she retires for the same price I paid mum, after everyone got to see what my mother was like in person. She said she doesn't feel right having me keep her as a sitter after her behavior today, and she understands how hard being a widow is. She lost her husband when her kids were 10 and 14, but I had no idea until today, since she never shared that much about her personal life. We ended up having to talk to the police on my mother because she was refusing to leave, and they came and escorted her off the property. After they left, my sister called to tell me my mum blocked me on everything and told her she no longer has 2 daughters, just one, and that my sister is forbidden from coming to see me or watching the kids while she lives with our mother. Luckily, she'll be moving with her fiance after he gets back from deployment. Thank you all for the advice. I did apply online to Social Security, but received an automated email response saying, due to the federal shutdown, the office is closed and they will check my application as soon as someone returns to the office. Also, in case someone wonders, my co-workers knew childcare was a struggle for me, but didn't have any advice to help me with childcare because most of them don't have kids, or their kids are already grown. But the lady who offered to help is one of my favorite co-workers, and she's come over to help to make decorations for our classrooms at work, so she knows my kids, and they really seemed to like her whenever she came by to work on things, and I know she is fully certified and trained to care for special needs children, as everyone at my place of employment is. Hope you added one more comment saying, thank you for all the advice, and I appreciate all the kind words. However, if you're reading this and think it's appropriate to message to hit on me or lecture me about how I need to move on, it is not. Thank you. And I'm super glad that OP's situation is looking a little bit better because she just sounds like she's surrounded by absolutely shitholes. That story in the middle of the grandma locking an autistic 3-year-old in a dark closet. What an absolute vile person. And then you got the mum who's just screaming everywhere she goes, turning up to OP's place of work and screaming and swearing there as well. I don't see any value that what these people bring to your lives and the children's lives as well. I can only think if that mum's screaming and shouting all the time, what those kids must have been going through while she was caring for them. Absolutely awful. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.